Hey there, how's your day going?
Oh no, do I talk or pretend I'm busy?
Today, I'll show you exactly what to say.
All right, so here's the plan. First, I'm going to tell you a real Uber story. Second, we'll break down the key phrases you actually need. Third, you're going to practice with me. And finally, I'll give you a question to answer in the comments. Simple? Let's go. Part 1. The story. Slow speed. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I had just finished a meeting downtown, and I needed to get to the airport. So I opened the Uber app, requested a ride, and waited outside. A few minutes later, a silver Toyota pulled up. I checked the license plate. It matched. I opened the back door, got in, and said, "Hi, good afternoon." The driver, a guy in his 40s, smiled at me through the rear view mirror. "Hey there, how's your day going?" Here we go, I thought. Now, I could have just said, "Good," and looked at my phone, but I decided to be a little more friendly. So I said, "Pretty good. Just finished a meeting, now heading to the airport." Notice what I did there. I answered his question, but I also gave a little context. Heading to the airport. This is important because it signals, "Hey, I'm busy. I have somewhere to be." The driver nodded. "Oh, nice. Business trip or vacation?" Okay, he's continuing the conversation. I could feel it. But I didn't want to be rude, so I kept it short. Just visiting family, nothing too exciting. Again, I answered, but I didn't ask a question back. This is key. If you don't ask a question, the conversation naturally slows down. The driver smiled. "That's nice. Family is important." Then silence. Perfect. But just when I thought we were done, he looked at me again and said, "So where are you originally from? I detect a bit of an accent." Oh boy. Now this is a tricky one because it's a personal question, but it's also just curiosity. I didn't want to seem cold, so I said, "Oh, I'm from Asia, but I've been here for a few years now." "Asia? That's cool. I love Asian food. You ever been to that Thai place on 5th Street? Now he's getting chatty. I needed to redirect this. So I said, "I haven't, but I'll check it out. Thanks for the tip." Then I added, "By the way, how's traffic looking? I have a flight to catch." Boom, this is the magic phrase. How's traffic? It's a polite way to say, let's focus on the ride, not the conversation. The driver immediately understood. "Oh yeah, traffic is okay right now. We should get you there on time, no worries." "Great, I appreciate it." And just like that, the conversation shifted. He turned up the music a little, I pulled out my phone, and we drove in comfortable silence. About 10 minutes later, we arrived at the airport. As I was getting out, he said, "Hey, have a safe flight, and if you get a chance, a 5-star rating would really help me out." I smiled. "Of course, thanks for the smooth ride." I gave him 5 stars, and that was it. A perfectly polite, perfectly controlled Uber conversation. Part 2. Vocabulary Breakdown. Okay, so you just heard the whole story. Now I want to break down some phrases that, honestly, changed the game for me. Because, look, when I first moved to the US, I would just freeze up in these situations. Like, my brain would go completely blank. But once I learned these specific phrases, everything got so much easier. So let's jump in. Way more casual, like you're already on your way. You're in motion. So instead of, I'm going to the airport, you just say, yeah, heading to the airport. And there's actually a hidden benefit here. When you tell an Uber driver, I'm heading to the airport, they immediately get it. You're busy. You've got places to be. You're not just casually riding around. So they're less likely to start a whole conversation. Like, imagine you get in and the driver says, hey, where are you off to? You could say, oh, I'm heading to a meeting. Gotta prep some stuff on the way. See? You answered the question, but you also subtly said, I might be a bit distracted right now, without being rude about it. Or another one, I'm heading to see a friend, running late actually. Again, you're polite, but you're also setting a boundary. And that's the beauty of heading to. It does double diddy. Number 2. How's traffic? Okay. This is literally my go-to escape phrase. Let me tell you why. You know when you get in an Uber and the driver starts asking you all these questions? Like, so what do you do? Or, you married? And you're just sitting there like, dude, I just need to get from point A to point B. But you can't just ignore them. That's mean. So here's what you do. You answer super briefly. Then you immediately ask, how's traffic looking today? And boom, conversation redirected. Because now, instead of talking about your personal life, you're talking about the road, which is literally their job, so it feels natural. Let me give you an example. Driver asks, so you live around here? You say, not really, just in town for work. Hey, how's traffic? We're going to hit rush hour? See what happened? You answered, but you didn't elaborate. Then you switched topics immediately, and the driver can't think you're being rude because you're asking about something that affects both of you. It's genius. Plus, and this is a cultural thing, Americans love complaining about traffic. It's like a national pastime. So when you bring up traffic, you're actually bonding with them, just in a limited way. You're being social without being too social. Perfect. Number 3. Just visiting. This phrase, oh man, this saved me so many times. Here's the situation. Driver asks, you from here? Now, if you start explaining your whole story, like, well, I used to live here, then I moved to Chicago, but now I'm back because that's gonna lead to 10 more questions. But if you just say, nah, just visiting, that's it. Short, simple, done. And here's what usually happens next. The driver goes, oh, cool, first time? And you're like, yeah, heard good things. Driver, you should check out this place. You, oh, nice, I'll look into it, thanks. And scene. You've been friendly, you've engaged, but you haven't opened the door to your whole life story. I remember this one time I was in a lift and the driver asked where I was from. I made the mistake of actually explaining. Next thing I know, we're talking about immigration, politics, his cousin who lives in my home country, 20 minutes of, it was nice, but I just wanted to zone out, you know? So now, I always just say, just visiting, and if I want to sound even more temporary, I'll say, just passing through. That really emphasizes, I'm barely here, don't quiz me on anything. Works like a charm. Number 4. I appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about saying thank you. Most of us know thank you and thanks, and those are fine. But I appreciate it, that hits different. It's warmer, more personal, like you actually mean it. Think about it from the driver's perspective. They probably hear thanks 100 times a day. It's automatic, it's whatever. But when someone says, I really appreciate it, that stands out. That makes them feel seen. So here's when I use it. Anytime the driver does something extra, like they waited for me when I was running late, or they helped with my bags, or they took a faster route without me asking, I don't just say thanks, I say, hey, I really appreciate that. Example, you're 2 minutes late. The driver could have canceled, but they waited. You get in and say, thank you so much for waiting. I really appreciate it. Feel that? It's genuine. It's warm. Another scenario. The driver says, I'll take the highway. It's faster. You respond, perfect. I appreciate it. I'm cutting it close on time. Now you're not just acknowledging them, you're making them feel valued. And honestly, when you treat people well, they remember it. I've had drivers who gave me water or phone chargers just because we had a nice interaction, all because of a little warmth. So yeah, I appreciate it over thanks every time. Number 5. 5-star rating. All right, we gotta talk about this because there's a whole culture around rating drivers, and a lot of people don't realize how intense it actually is. So here's the deal. After every Uber ride, you rate the driver, 1 to 5 stars. Seems simple, right? But here's what most passengers don't know. If a driver's rating drops below 4.6, they can literally lose their job. Think about that. 4.6 out of 5. So if you give someone 4 stars, thinking, oh, 4 is good, to them, that's basically saying, you screwed up. Because in this system, 5 stars is the baseline, not the goal. Unless something went seriously wrong, you give 5 stars. Now, sometimes drivers will actually ask you. They'll say, if you enjoyed the ride, a 5-star rating would really help me out. And I get it. Some people feel weird about that. Like, are they begging? But they're not. They're just navigating a brutal system. So when they ask, I just say, of course, you got it. Or, absolutely, thanks for the smooth ride. Quick, easy, supportive. Now, don't get me wrong. If the driver was genuinely unsafe or rude or deliberately took a crazy route, then yeah, rate accordingly. But if it was just a normal ride, give them 5 stars. It costs you nothing, and it might save their job. That's just the reality of the gig economy. Number 6. I'll let you focus on driving. Okay, this is the big one. This is what I call the nuclear option. When you absolutely need the conversation to end, but you don't want to be rude. Here's the phrase, I'll let you focus on driving. Let me paint you a picture. You're in the car. The driver has been talking non-stop for 10 minutes, asking questions, telling stories, and you're sitting there thinking, please, I just want silence. But you can't just say, stop talking. that's harsh. So instead, you say, "You know what? I'll let you focus on driving. I need to make a quick call anyway." And just like that, the talking stops. Here's why this works. First, it sounds considerate. You're not rejecting them, you're being concerned about safety. Second, it gives them an easy out. They don't have to feel bad, they can just think, "Oh yeah, I should focus." Third, it almost always works, like 99% success rate. I use this all the time. Sometimes I add, "I'll let you focus, I'm going to close my eyes for a bit." Or, "I'll let you drive, I gotta finish this email real quick." And then, critically, you gotta commit. Put in your earbuds, look at your phone, close your eyes. Whatever you said you were going to do, do it. Don't say this and then start talking again 2 minutes later. That makes it seem fake. Once you use this line, the conversation is over. And honestly, most drivers appreciate it because driving in traffic is stressful, and sometimes they're relieved to just drive. Number 7, no worries. This phrase, I probably say this 20 times a day. It's so casual, so chill, and it makes everything feel lighter. No worries. It basically means, it's okay, don't stress. But it's way more relaxed than saying, it's fine. Let me show you. Driver says, "Sorry, we hit some traffic." You say, "No worries, we're still good on time." Driver, "Thanks for being patient with that detour." You, "No worries, happy to help." Driver, "Sorry, I need to grab gas real quick." You, "No worries, take your time." See? Every time, it just smooths things over, makes everything feel easy. I remember one time the driver accidentally went the wrong way, and they were so apologetic, like, "I'm so sorry, I totally messed up." And I just said, "No worries, seriously, it happens, we'll get there." And you could see them relax. That's the power of this phrase. Now, pronunciation-wise, Americans say this super fast. It almost sounds like one word, no worries. You don't need to overpronounce it. Just let it flow naturally. And here's a fun fact. This phrase actually came from Australia, but Americans loved it so much we just took it. Now everybody says it, especially younger people. It's replaced, "Don't worry about it," or "It's not a problem," because it's just easier, more casual. The only time you don't use it is when something actually is a big deal, like if there was a real safety issue. Then don't minimize it with "no worries." But for everyday stuff, traffic, wrong turns, small delays, no worries is perfect. Number 8. Have a safe flight, or have a good one. Last one. Let's talk about goodbyes. Because in America, we don't just say bye and leave. We add a little something, a little wish. It's just what we do. So if someone mentions they're going to the airport, you automatically say, "Have a safe flight." It's like programmed into us. Example, you're getting out at the airport. Driver, all right, Terminal 2, here we are. You, perfect, thanks so much. Driver, Have a safe flight. You. Thank you. You too. I mean, have a good day. See? They wished you well and you returned it, even though you fumbled it a little. That's totally normal. Now, the universal version, the one you can use literally any time, is have a good one. This works for everything, any time of day, any situation. You're leaving the Uber. Thanks for the ride. No problem. Have a good one. You too. Done. Or, all right, we're here. Great, appreciate it. Have a good one. You as well. Simple, but it makes a difference. Other variations you might hear are have a great day, take care, stay safe, drive safe, especially good for drivers. All of these work. Pick whichever feels natural. And here's why this matters. These little phrases, they show you're not just using someone for a service. You're treating them like a person. And in a world where gig workers deal with rude passengers all day, that kindness really stands out. I've had drivers tell me, "Thanks for being so nice," just because I said, "Have a good one." That's it. That's all it took. So, yeah, don't skip the goodbye. Make it warm. Make it real. Okay, so those are your 8 phrases. Quick recap. Heading to sounds way more natural. How's traffic? Your escape route. Just visiting keeps it short. I appreciate it actually means something. 5-star rating, understand the game. I'll let you focus on driving, polite shutdown. No worries, makes everything chill. Have a safe flight or good one. End on a good note. These aren't just vocabulary, they're survival tools. Use them, practice them, and watch how much easier these rides become. All right, now let's do the listening section. Let's get you speaking. Part 3. Listening, normal speed. All right, now let's listen to the story again. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I just finished a meeting downtown, and I needed to get to the airport. So I opened the Uber app, requested a ride, and waited outside. A few minutes later, a silver Toyota pulled up. I checked the plate. It matched. I opened the back door, got in, and said, "Hi, good afternoon." The driver, a guy in his 40s, smiled at me through the rearview mirror. "Hey there, how's your day going?" Here we go, I thought. Now, I could have just said good and looked at my phone, but I decided to be a little more friendly. So I said, "Pretty good, just finished a meeting, now heading to the airport." Notice what I did there. I answered his question, but I also gave a little context. Heading to the airport. This signals, "Hey, I'm busy, I have somewhere to be." The driver nodded. "Oh, nice. Business trip or a vacation?" Okay, he's continuing the conversation. I could feel it. But I didn't want to be rude, so I kept it short. Just visiting family, nothing too exciting. Again, I answered, but I didn't ask a question back. This is key. If you don't ask a question, the conversation naturally slows down. The driver smiled. "That's nice. Family's important." Then silence. Perfect. But just when I thought we were done, he looked at me again and said, "So, where are you originally from? I detect a bit of an accent." Oh boy, now this is tricky. It's a personal question, but it's also just curiosity. I didn't want to seem cold, so I said, "Oh, I'm from Asia, but I've been here for a few years now." "Asia? That's cool. I love Asian food. You ever been to that Thai place on 5th Street?" Now he's getting chatty. I needed to redirect this, so I said, "I haven't, but I'll check it out. Thanks for the tip." Then I added, "By the way, how's traffic looking? I have a flight to catch." Boom, magic phrase, how's traffic? It's a polite way to say, let's focus on the ride, not the conversation. The driver immediately understood. "Oh yeah, traffic's okay right now. We should get you there on time, no worries." "Great, I appreciate it." And just like that, the conversation shifted. He turned up the music a little, I pulled out my phone, and we drove in the comfortable silence. About 10 minutes later, we arrived at the airport. As I was getting out, he said, "Hey, have a safe flight, and if you get a chance, a 5-star rating would really help me out." I smiled. "Of course, thanks for the smooth ride." I gave him 5 stars, and that was it. A perfectly polite, perfectly controlled Uber conversation. Part 4. Conclusion. All right, so that's it. That's how you handle small talk in an Uber. Let me quickly recap the key points. Number 1, answer the driver's first question, but keep it short and add context, like, "Pretty good, heading to the airport." This shows you're polite, but also signals you're busy. Number 2, don't ask follow-up questions if you don't want a long conversation. If you answer but don't ask back, the conversation naturally dies down. Number 3, use "how's traffic" as your escape route. It's polite, it's relevant, and it shifts the focus away from personal chat. Number 4, if the driver keeps talking, you can say, "I'll let you focus on driving," or "I need to make a quick call." These are polite ways to end the conversation without being rude. And number 5, always be kind. Even if you don't want to talk, you can still smile, say thank you, and give a good rating. Remember, these drivers are just trying to make a living. A little kindness goes a long way. Now, here's my question for you. What's the most awkward Uber conversation you've ever had? Was it a driver who wouldn't stop talking? Or maybe a driver who asked you? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your stories. And if this video helped you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Share it with a friend.